I'm by the University of Costa Rica again. It's a Friday, and I'm trying to go north to Moravia. Haven't been there for a while, and once I'm there I'm going to go further in and go east, and there should be a bus that goes from here to Moravia, and I'll find out if that is true. This is Moravia. Once the bus came, it was a pretty short ride here. And from here, I don't know, I'm just going to go wherever. I do have a few ideas, but not specific plans, if that makes sense. I wanted to go on kind of a shorter trip today than last week when I went to Turrialba. So right now I'm just walking east out of the center of Moravia. And presumably there are buses that go along here because there is a lot of places to the east. But for now, I don't know, I just want to kind of walk, and this is what I'm seeing. It's time to go get myself a soda. So I've been walking along this road for a while, but not too long, really only 10 minutes or so. I've been walking along this road for a while, but not too long, really 10 minutes or so. And I'm already starting to ask, is there perhaps a parallel road that's a bit more restful? Or maybe this road will become more residential. But in any case, I'm just going to keep walking for a while, and if it gets too much, I'll hop on a bus probably. So right now, it looks like we're about to cross the Rio Ipus. And there's probably also a canton, or at least district boundary, as small as it is right now. Not a provincial boundary. We would know if we were going to Radia. That's a much bigger river. And I guess I'm just continuing this way. So this road I'm following is parallel to the Sabanilla road, literally, and as far as its function goes, because I started out in like closer to the city, now I'm into kind of residential neighborhoods, and also because it's so this road I'm following is parallel to the Sabanilla road, literally, and as far as its function goes, because I started out in like closer to the city, now I'm into kind of residential neighborhoods. I can't tell whether that's being repaired or whether they're actually building a new church. In other news, we can see we are in a neighborhood with a KFC. So pretty much settlement has been continuous since I left the center of Moravia, but here you can see we're getting to more like a town center again, and then we might go into more just like residential area and then back to something else. So if we look in this direction, those hills would be across the river in Irazú province, although northeast of the Radia central place we went. Well, I've been walking along this road for a while, and if I knew how long I was going to walk and what the scenery or lack thereof would have been like, I might have had the patience to wait for a bus, but I don't regret it. There's still more to see. Well, in the distance, that looks like something, especially through my viewfinder. I think that maybe is what I came to see. We'll find out. This is apparently Coronado. That is an impressive church. Sometimes I don't know how well these things come across in the video, and all of the churches here are nice, even when they're not exactly, you know, my style. But that is really impressive. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that is a Gothic style. It's ornate, almost Baroque, a lot of like flying columns and spires. So I wasn't expecting to see something quite that impressive, and so I'm impressed. And behind it, I believe, if we keep going, that is the volcano Irazú, which is a volcano that's north of Cartago. And it's hard to tell just how far away it is from here. I'm not going to climb it today, but we are getting up into the mountains. There's another view of that impressive church or cathedral. On the other side of the church, as is the case, we have a park, and I think I'm going to sit down and rest on one of these benches just for a minute. So interestingly, I'm just a couple blocks away, and this is more of a normal street scene. Also, there's a sizable bus terminal for where this is. and it looks like I can get a bus directly back to San Jose. I'm also curious whether I can get a bus in this direction, which I won't do today, but I will keep it in mind. This looks like another bridge out of town. It is often the case. The water down there is probably not very much, at least at this time of year, but well, it's actually more substantial than I thought. It's not quite as deep as I thought. It's also a little bit cleaner than I thought, I think because we're getting up to where there's not as much settlement upstream of here, which we're going to follow this sidewalk a little bit longer. How much is a little bit longer? I do not know. As you can see here, we're just a little bit outside of the main part of the city of Coronado, but things have already thinned out. One thing I like and don't like about Latin American land use, I probably said this, is you don't just stop, it gradually tapers away, and there is commercial facilities in places there wouldn't be in the US. You can be walking down a windy little gravel road and there's a mini super, which is good because I like my snacks. But also here the noise, in places the pollution continue. But I probably talked about that before, so I don't need to say that again. But it is kind of odd for me because I am approaching a volcano and I've left the city, but I also have not left the city. So I'm probably going to go to where these buildings are here and see if there's anything further there. Also see if I can see a bus stop or some sort, which I haven't seen so far, to know if on another day I can continue this road upward. And if I sound a little bit winded, it is because I am. And as we turn around, you can see, I mean, down there, that's where I came from, or even further, I don't know. Can't really tell where that is, but I have walked up considerably. The weather is also considerably cooler here. Don't think it's going to rain, but it is cooler here. Well, there is a bus there. Don't know what type of schedule it has, but there's at least one bus here. Patio de Agua. Okay. And I thought I was going to turn around, but now I'm just going to keep going for a while. So I mentioned this in Cartago, and certainly the case there. We have a crucifer growing. Actually, as usually the case when you have crucifers, you have a lot of them growing. And another sign of how far we've ascended, that there's cool crucifer weather here. Incidentally, the other day I did buy shoes, and that's one reason I can negotiate stuff like this before my feet are getting less sore. The shoes on my feet make my cipher complete. There's another bus, there's a church, there's a bus stop. Presumably that bus is going to go up, turn around and come back. Today, however, I'm just going to walk back because from here it's all downhill and it's a pleasant enough walk. So one thing today, as opposed to like my trips to Turrialba or Alajuela, I can actually walk back home from here. It'll be a long day, but I walked the majority of the distance already. The distance I bused between my home and Moravia was relatively small compared to how far I've walked. And so there is no frame rule. There's nothing I have to be there on the dot. That's actually made it more relaxing. The most relaxing thing for me is probably just that the climate is a little bit more familiar as I come upward. And I am looking forward to busing to this location and continuing it on. This is all in logic. Now, I don't think I can actually get to the top of Irazú just by walking, but it also is not totally impossible. So I do have some logic there. Anyway, so I'm going to walk more this way and then take a bus back when I get back to the center of Coronado. This is one of those cases where as I walk down, I'm like, how did I walk all that way up? Especially because I'd already walked from Moravia, and this is a pretty steep road. One answer to that, as I've said, is that the weather is cooler here, so it's not as strenuous and dehydrating to walk upwards. Still, I will be happy to be sitting down soon enough. Here I am at the bus terminal, and let's see what I can get. is often the case, might not report for a while. I'm in Guadalupe. I got off a bus here. On the way up, I said I wonder if there's a quieter and more scenic road, and it turns out that the road between Guadalupe and Coronado is a little bit nicer probably to walk than what I took. Anyway, so now I know it's a pretty short ride back, and I think I will be going back there in the future. But for now, I just have to walk, I don't know, 500 meters home. I'm about to cross the cantonal boundary between Goyecha and Montes de Oca, where I live, in Mercedes district. And so today, like, I really did kind of get into the zone, and it's been kind of frustrating because a lot of times I go to places, maybe on screen they look really nice, but I'm just not quite getting there. And I think the combination of cooler climate, terrain that I'm used to, being a little bit less crowded, made me feel good. Also, I think the challenge, you know, even though it was strenuous at places, it was the strenuous that made me feel, hey, I'm going up a volcano. And I do not know if it would be a safe or appropriate idea to actually try to climb that volcano by transit, but I can get up a bit further. And so now that's kind of coming into my plans. Anyway, so I hope, even though like a lot of my walks, I know this was in pieces, I hope it was somewhat informative and interesting to look at, and there will always be more.